the Pepsi Center. I am Matt Smith. This is Nilo Piro for Mile High Sports. Thank you very much for tuning in. Well, the Nuggets get back on track tonight. They take down the Brooklyn Nets 112-104, and that final score was not indicative of how far apart this game really was, Nilo.
No, yeah, not at all. I mean, I actually was writing my gamer, and I had a Nuggets steamroll Nets as the headline originally because, I mean, that's quite frankly what it was. Denver had established a double-digit lead for majority of this game. Obviously, Brooklyn was able to kind of narrow it down later in the game, which ultimately enabled Nikola Jokic to get his career high in points with 41 tonight. All in all, an impressive all-around victory for the Denver Nuggets. They kind of faltered there at the end, but great stuff from them overall tonight.
As Anilo mentioned, Nikola Jokic registered his career high 41 points tonight on 16 of 25 shooting. He also had 10 rebounds, I think. 12 rebounds, 5 assists.
2 blocks, and 2 steals. I mean, the question was posed by our own TJ McBride after the game. What can't this man not do? You know, per se.
What can't he not do?
Yeah,
a double negative.
What can't he not do? Exactly.
Right.
And Malone comes back with, you can't jump very high, and that's just quite frankly the truth. But when it comes to stuffing the stat sheet, Nikola Jokic does it all.
Yeah, and tonight it was a concerted effort to get him that 41 points. Teammates really trying to get him back involved. And the starters had to play in the fourth quarter against Brooklyn's second unit. Head coach Kenny Atkinson actually took out the starters, I think, about midway through the third quarter there. And pretty much it was a reserve unit that actually built their way back into this game. It was an impressive performance for Brooklyn, considering the fact that this is the second night of a back-to-back for them. They played in Phoenix last night, but for the Nuggets, understandable that maybe there was a little lackluster performance to come out in this one. Of course, they just played the Warriors. Really solid performance the first half of that game. Get blown out in the third quarter, and tonight eased their way back into things until we were talking a little earlier. The end of that first half, Paul Millsap really took over, asserted himself offensively. The Nuggets stretched their lead, and then it was pretty much a done deal in the second half.
Yeah, without a doubt. And there's kind of like this common scenario, and when Jokic plays well, so does Paul Millsap. Millsap records 17 points tonight, and they kind of talked about after the game how they're really starting to mesh together on the court. Millsap says that they're finding each other's spots on the court. They're really just getting a good feel in terms of how they each play and their style and whatnot. So that is a work in progress that has really been paying off for this team lately. But yeah, Jokic plays well. It's all great things for the Nuggets across the board.
Definitely. You can see that chemistry beginning to develop more and more. Jokic after the game said he thinks that in a few weeks it should look a lot different. Yeah. So we'll see how that transpires and how it progresses. But, you know, we got to talk about the game that I don't think they were overlooking the Nets by any stretch. No. But the next big game on their schedule is certainly on Thursday when they take on the Thunder. They played them in the preseason, Nilo, but this is a new-look Thunder team. Of course, Carmelo Anthony will return to the Pepsi Center. And, you know, the Nuggets now sitting, what, 6-5 on the season? They've got to start to string together some wins. You don't want to be playing 500 ball too much longer. So we'll see if they can get that done against a very talented Thunder team, albeit a little, I don't know what the word is, clunky maybe in the first few weeks of the season. But also, that's pretty much where everyone else in the NBA is right now as well. So the Nuggets with a good win tonight, a win's a win. They moved to 6-5, and I think my biggest takeaway is that they're starting to mesh, but the other takeaway and the concern is this is another night where Jamal Murray didn't really have a good game whatsoever.
Yeah, and I mean, this is the constant kind of dilemma with this team. And we actually just saw the news come out this morning that Milwaukee Bucks are going to trade for former Phoenix Suns point guard Eric Bledsoe. So that's one name you could check off the board as a potential, you know, reinforcement for the Nuggets to add. So that means it's going to be Jamal Murray and Emmanuel Mudiay, two 21 and 20-year-olds that are going to be in charge of running this team at the point guard position. So I think it's another key takeaway to kind of put a damper on this loss overall has been the struggle at point guard. But like you said, they got a big game here Thursday on primetime, 8:30 start time on TNT against the Oklahoma City Thunder, and you kind of alluded to it. This is a team that needs to start stringing wins together and really starting to take strides in this season that is still very young. Murray needs to pick it up, Mudiay needs to pick it up, Jokic and Millsap are starting to mesh. Good things are happening for this team. It's now time to establish that consistency moving forward.
And one final note, the other guy who doesn't really need to step up any more than he already has is Will Barton.
Yeah,
had 17 points off the bench, and he is really an important piece to this team. As Malone mentioned after the game, he said possibly at the end of the season he thinks he could be a Sixth Man of the Year candidate. We've certainly seen the makings of it early through 11 games this season. Small sample size, but Will scoring off the bench is huge for that Nuggets second unit right now. He's doing some really good things, playing actually a ton of point in his reserve role. So some interesting things that Malone is trying to see how he can't push, to see if he can't push the right buttons to get this team to really mesh and flow. Another win for the Nuggets. 6-5 on the season, 1 114 or 112 to 104. Matt Smith, Anilo Piro for Mile High Sports from the Pepsi Center. Thanks as always for tuning in.